Welcome to Late Night Talks with Pastor Chris. You're listening to your boy, Pastor Chris Alston. Tonight, we are pulling back the curtain on what it means to build a vision. You know, we often see a final product, the sleek website, the sleek logo. We see the viral video, the polished brand, but we rarely talk to the architect behind the frame. So tonight is the good brother. You know, we go way back 10 years in the making. I met this brother through a brother, amen, and he actually came and helped us take my family's company, Bright and Clear Inc., to the next level in branding and marketing. And he was dope then, whether he understood or knew that or not. He was the man. I remember when he came into the meeting that day, just to pull a little bit more back behind the curtain. I could tell my man was a little nervous in presenting, but I said, man, I got you. You in here. You just sell it. We're going to do it. So tonight, this guest is a brother who navigates two worlds. By day, he is the creative and art director at Bujoy Media in Raleigh. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
All right. And he directs high-level brand strategies, but to the streets. Yes, to the streets and the highways and the byways and everywhere in between. He's the high-energy truth telling, because I knew him by something else. BooDaddy.
Yeah.
We have none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the content strategist king, in my opinion, the good brother, Minister Darius Carr in the building. How's it going, sir?
We said minister.
What you do is ministry. I call it like I see it. You can look, Pastor Chris. Let me tell you something, man. Pastor Chris is a real minister. This is not a moniker. This is the real deal. Now, even though I did step away from my church of almost 10 years a couple years ago, had to handle some business. Y'all know the story with my son, you know, on my sabbatical, I still minister. I still preach the gospel.
Yeah.
So I can never escape the calling. What's on your life and how other people see you. You can never stop that. So what you do, in my opinion, is a ministry also.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, don't let my wife hear that. She gonna run. She say, I don't want to be no first lady. But
You
yeah,
make a good one, though.
Wow, I appreciate that.
Yo, absolutely. By the way, because I didn't ask you earlier when we was in the green room, how was your wife? How is she?
She good, man. We are rocking and rolling. Just celebrated 6 years. So if you counting, we got married during the pandemic. So
Wow.
yeah. So I always say we want to add a little extra years on it just because.
Yeah, because the pandemic, you know, even though it was 6 years ago, that whole, I said that 2020 was the longest 2020 ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though the time kept moving, 2020 was long.
Yeah. 2020 was a couple years long.
That part, sitting at home doing nothing. But we were being creative, though. We were being creative. We were being creative. We still had our, ears to the street and seeing what was changing and what was moving. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So, man, I was just looking back at your earlier work and the things, again, that you did for even our company at Bright and Clear, looking at your portfolio, how you handled the SEO and web development, and now even as the creative art director at Bujoy. Then I hop on Facebook and I still see that handle, BooDaddy.
Yeah,
I love it. Because let me say something too. We were talking a little earlier. I'm really putting this man over because this man has rap bars. He has rap bars. We'll get into that a little later. He has rap bars. If you know, you know. So let's start from the beginning. Here your position at Bujoy Bujoy Media. I was about to say Bujoy TV. Bujoy Media. How do you now balance the art director or the creative side of everything? How do you find that balance in that position at this point?
I don't. My wife do. Nah, man, I'm going to say this. That's what Bujoy is because my nickname is BooDaddy, and my wife's name is Joyful Jess. And so we put two together and we made Bujoy. But also we said the B and the U is bring you. So we bring you joy through what we do. And so, man, and I'm just being real. I'm a creative, at heart. That creative don't come with organization. And so I balance because I got a good co-founder, a good partner, and man, she keeps me organized, keeps me in line, keeps me organized when my brain is all over the place with 100 ideas, and so I bring the creative She brings the administrative and all the above event planning and all of that. And we combine both of those skill sets together. And Bujoy Media, man, since 2021 has just been growing and growing. And so we started with production because that's what I was in all these years with videography, photography, graphic design. And I got tired of handing over just a video or just some photos or just a graphic design or a logo. And I noticed I was handing it to people with not so good brands all around. And so I had a feeling that they think, man, the video didn't work. I didn't get no more customers. I didn't get no more business. It didn't change anything. And that's because you're sitting that nice video on top of a not so good brand. And so I wanted to help people from start to the finish, everything. How to your brand strategy, your messaging, your demographics, how do you reach those people, social media, content, all the above. So I'm just not handing you one thing. And so bright and clear.
Yeah.
I think about the orange juice.
Right.
Bright and clear was one of the first. That's why I was nervous walking into that.
Right.
That meeting, because that's when I started switching from just giving people production to you guys got everything. I shot video for y'all. I did the logo, the website, all the above. And it was one of the first times I did a full package like that. And I had maybe done one other, but you guys gave me a chance. I was walking in there nervous, but I knew what I can do. And so I think y'all saw that, man, he has a vision. He's seen something we don't. And I'm glad y'all went with me. So ever since then, man, I've been rocking and rolling. So yeah.
Man, I appreciate, you even we invest in people who have skills and talent. And, at the time, and I'll be fully transparent, even when I saw that price, I knew that it should have been more for that time because I understood everything that you were doing. And I was like, hey, when at the time, the deal that you gave us, I was like, you could not even find that a full package of videography and photography, website development, SEO, the logo, how you even brought in research on colors and how people would even perceive that you were so forward thinking and ahead of your time. Like I said, you made Bright and Clear Ink. The logo and the brand it's very iconic in this area. People know that brand. People know when those bands pull up who we are. When they see those shirts, I mean, I'm serious. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm telling you, people know. Being in the area that we're in the town, we've been around since '94, but like you took us in 2016, which is 10 years ago, a whole decade.
Yeah.
You took it to another level. It made it look, even though we're still a small business, it made us look like, a multi-billion-dollar business,
Wow.
It did because branding is everything. And that's a God-given gift, Darius. That's a gift that a lot of people don't have. So let me ask you this. With Bujoy Media, your vision, you and your lovely wife, how many people partner with you? How many people do you have working with you at this time? Because I know it's not a one-man show anymore.
No. So it took a while when you work by yourself for so long, it took me a while to even understand what leadership was and delegation and all of that. And so we just started really building the team probably 2 years ago. And we brought on a recent high school graduate. Her name is Kamora. She goes our church. And, she was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I'm not sure, over the summertime, everybody knows exactly what school they want to go to. And so we saw her and I had worked with her at church. I've been giving her a camera at church since she was probably about 13 years old. And so when I got there, she was one of the first people who I taught how to do photography. So I didn't have to come to church every week and have that camera in my hand. So a lot of my team at church was kids, teenagers that just wanted something to do during service. And so she said she was trying to figure something out. And we were like, why you figure it out? Just come work with us. And it was just a match made in heaven, like, cause she understood me and my wife. And my wife had like tutored her a little bit in high school with some math stuff. And so they had a relationship. And again, me and her worked together during church. And so she was our first hire in 2024. And man, she has changed the game. Things that we miss, she picks up, she fills the gaps, and she's took it to the point where I gotta be out of town. I'm going to Minnesota next week, a week after next. And so a company reached out and said, hey, can you come and shoot for the whole week? Without a blink of an eye, I'm like, yeah, we can. I can be in Minnesota and she can be here handling that. And we got the contract where we do all the headshots for Wake Tech for all their campuses. And I don't even have.
Hold on. Just about to not do that. What you just said again?
Yes,
I didn't even know that. I knew you was doing it.
Yeah, since it actually was one of the first Bujoy clients. So about 5 years now, since 2021, we've taken all the headshots at Wake Tech. So they do a lot of career events where they bring in recruiters and help people with interviews. And they bring in a whole like rack full of clothes and give the students free headshots. And so they pay us to provide free headshots for the students and the staff. And so they rotate in. Usually it's about 80 students per event. And man, it's been a great partnership with them. And we've been to pretty much every campus that they have doing this. And so now Kimora is over that whole contract. So she goes out, she shoots, she handles everything. I don't even have to be there anymore. Wow. And so outside of that,
I don't mean to cut you off. We got to let that breathe for this. Just give me a second. You got to let that breathe. You got to let that breathe. Because a lot of people out here say they working. A lot of people out here say they moving. A lot of people out there say they want the blessings of God, but they're not seeking him first. But this brother's doing that. He is seeking first the kingdom of God. He put on a sister from his church, a sister he was mentoring. And look what success and being diligent and patient gets you. Man, that's awesome. That is so awesome, man.
It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
Wow,
and I'm still learning. I'm still growing as a leader, because I worked by myself for the better part of 12, 13 years. And so I'm still having to get training and all of that. But, and that's what I just put out a video yesterday about that, is training is not just a meeting. It is a culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people they do one meeting where they show something and they think, the people supposed to just get it and run with it. But training should be a culture in your business is what I'm learning. I ain't perfected it, but it should be a constant thing. And it helps you as a business owner not to feel like I can't do anything. I can't go on vacation. I can't enjoy myself because I got to be there doing everything for my business. So that's kind of the mindset that we're stepping into. And so, yeah, she's our only, like full-time, like she works with us the most, but we do have other partners where we contract and say we can't make it. We'll hit up another videographer and say, hey, can you handle this on our behalf and things of that nature. So we're building sort of a directory, if we're double booked or something like that. So that's really how we're working now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for you, Darius, and you said you worked by yourself for so long, you knew that God gave you a vision and it placed something in you. It's in Habakkuk 2:2. And I even this scripture I even use a lot for myself in my own ministry. We talk about having vision, and Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. We gotta have that. We gotta have the visions. I mean, so as a director, as a creative director, as a employer, as a leader, that is your literal job description. When a client comes to Bujoy Media or when they're working with you, how do you see what they can't see?
I always tell people when it comes to marketing, branding, and all the above, you got to listen more than you talk. And so when a client is coming to you and explaining their goals, their motivations, their struggles, their pains, you got to hear what they're saying and what they're not saying. And it's kind of like a doctor. We got to diagnose what are the holes that we're seeing and how do we patch those or fill them or heal them or whatever. So you got to really listen more than you talk. And so what I see with a lot of marketing companies is they just want money. Take so many. It's probably, I joked with my wife last week, probably monthly, we get 2 or 3 people coming to us saying, oh my God, you guys are God-sent. I spent all this money at this other marketing company that didn't do anything for me. And, I'm tapped out. And I'm like, you got to come to us when you tapped out. But, but like you said, it feels like ministry a lot of times where they're coming to us broken, trying to figure this thing out. And so so many people say, man, how did you see what was in my head? Like, and all I did was just say it, and you saw it just like that. And I've been trying to get 5 or 6 other designers to figure this thing out. And it's probably because they were not listening. And so a lot of designers, a lot of strategists or marketing people want to give you what they want to give you versus what you need. And so that's something that I've prided myself on was when we do that first consultation, I might say a couple sentences, but I'm going to give value by the end of any consultation that I do because I don't want to just feel like a business transaction. I want you to learn as well. But for the most part, I'm sitting back and I'm listening to and trying to figure out the root cause of why you're here in front of me. And so a lot of times it turns into halfway therapy. But if you can figure that part out about a person, you can create for them better because you understand the motives, the motivations, the reasons, the whys of why they're trying to create what they're trying to create. So that's how I approach branding and marketing, not just in a more formulaic way like most people do, where, hey, we take your money and we just put up some posts for you. It's way bigger than that. These people are a lot of times first generation entrepreneurs. They're breaking generational curses in their families. They're trying to pay bills and make a living for their family. And that business is what they're trying to build to leave a legacy. So you got to take it just as serious as that. Just like y'all, like Bright Clear is a legacy. Your dad, your uncle, they started and they passed that on to you, and it's left a legacy in the community. And so I took that serious even back then. I'm not just doing designs or media. So yeah.
That is awesome response. I know when you talk about legacy, you're thinking about a vision, and you're thinking about having a structure to what you're doing. And so I personally believe as a servant of God and a believer in God, we understand that God is the master designer of everything
Yes.
that we do. Right? Everything in nature has a structure and a design. So when you are personally, when you're designing like a brand strategy, do you feel that spiritual connection? You kind of touched on it a little bit already, but I'm sure you feel a spiritual connection um, when you're designing a brand strategy.
Yeah. A lot of times, and my wife will tell you, I done woken up out of my sleep. In the morning, I had a dream about this client. I know what I'm gonna do for him. And it feels and then that's how I know who to work with and who not to work with. I kind of that consultation, I get a feeling, and it never steered me wrong. And and I feel like He's in it because the people who we end up helping, the way that they end up being advocates for our business and how their lives change. Like we had a girl who was about to quit, and her husband was like, I'm tired of hemorrhaging money. I don't think this thing gonna work. Kind of on her back. She came to us and she was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where. And in a year's time, as a matter of fact, in 3 months' time, she landed her biggest client she had ever had. And in a year's time, she had a whole storefront and it's still operating now. And so I feel like when we do brand strategy, again, you're not only just doing stuff that again, it's a foundation to it. Of course, people go to school for this. It's formulas, it's data, but at the very bottom of it is God's working and God's purpose coming through. And when you get with the right person, especially in your business, if he done gave you this thing, he gonna send you the right people. And I feel like if somebody lands in front of us, they're in the right place. So, and then sometimes again, you talk to some people, and they're not quite ready, but you can hear that their motives aren't in the right place, that they're only trying to do this to make money, and everything that you tell them, it's a but behind it. Like, but I hear what you're saying, but, and I'm like, I can't really help you if you have all the answers already. Because you wouldn't be here. And that's why I know that if God is on something or not. Because if you need that help, you're gonna listen. And that's one of the biggest things that we approach when it comes to strategy is if we want to be able to help you. So we take your money knowing that we can't help you. That is not of God. That is not the way to do it. And, if money is your motivator, it'll land you in some dark places. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. I always tell people who are just getting started in any form of entrepreneurship that, what makes a great entrepreneur is how passionate you are behind your work. We have to be passionate. And I say if you come into whatever you're being an entrepreneur about, so whatever service or business you decide to be an entrepreneur in, if it's not something that you're passionate about, uh, 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna work. I don't believe. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. A person told me that if you can do what you're doing for free with no paycheck attached to it, you're passionate about it, and you'll probably find success because if you're passionate about it and you can execute it in a passionate way, the money's gonna come. So that first year is not about uh, uh, getting to the money. It's about making sure that the service or product that you're providing is going to live up to the hype once those big contracts start to come. That's just my opinion on that. So yeah, man, I'm sold, man. I'm proud of you and happy for your success, man, and everything that you're doing. Like I said earlier, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. So in my research, because again, I do have a background in journalism, so I did my investigation and try to like scour the internet and put some things together. So, if I got any of my sources or information wrong, you just stop me right here. But I gather that you've spoken at different places. You've spoken and made appearances at different places. You've spoken at the North Carolina Counts Coalition. Is that true?
Yeah, NC Counts.
Yeah.
This is something I don't, if you ask me, I'll tell you, but I don't, say it a lot. But where I'm sitting at now, you see, I'm in the office right now. I am creative coordinator at NC Counts, which basically creative director, coordinator, however you want it.
Right,
So many
right.
names, but yeah. So they started out as one of my clients, and I spoke at one of their conferences 2 years ago, or was it last year? Last year. But I've been shooting their conferences. I've been doing the videos for probably 4 or 5 years now. And they wanted somebody to come in and help tell their story. So yeah, I spoke at their convening in 2025. And what they found was they didn't have anybody in place to help pull those stories, and that's what I spoke on at the convening. And they were like, well, we want this full time. We want somebody who can help steer our story, because what they do is NC Counts they work with the census. And so they help North Carolina help the underserved communities get counted more. Because a lot of people, I know when I grew up, we was told to run. Don't you answer that door for them people. And so a lot of us did not get counted growing up. And I don't think a lot of people know all the stuff that's tied to the census. And I know it can be a little scary because they're like, well, they're going to have all our information, especially if you're, legal immigrant or, or something like that, you're kind of apprehensive. But it's laws in place to where the census cannot be used, for those kind of things. And so it's called Title 13, to where your information is protected. I think for 75 years, they can't release the information. And so if you are in a place where if you go to the hospital and you're waiting for like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours just to get seen, that's probably because a lot of people in the area didn't do the census, because they build hospitals, they build schools, they build parks based on that census count. And so each person is representative of about $1,800 per year that area gets when you're counted. So if you say that over 10 years, you're looking at $18,000 per person over a 10-year period that your area is not getting in funding. So you can have better resources around you. So when they told me that, and that's what their mission was, and if you look at the 25 priority zones in North Carolina, my hometown was in that priority zone, to where they don't have, I think half of the people were not counted in the last census. And it showed. And so I wanted to work for a company or an organization that was doing something that could benefit even my family where I come from and the people where I grew up. And so it feels good to be a part of an organization with that kind of mission. Yeah, I work for NC Counts now. Yeah, I'm actually in the office now working. So, yeah, it's been a blessing.
That's awesome right there. You're showing me and you're showing the audience the type of impact that you're making right now. You're
Mm.
doing more than just making an impact, but you're making noise here in the state of North Carolina and in the Raleigh Durham area specifically. So to shift a little bit, but kind of still stay on track. So tell me about the moment you realized BooDaddy was more than you viewed yourself. Meaning, tell me that aha moment when you knew, okay, it's time for me to really lock in and be serious about what I'm doing. What moment was that?
So you mean with like business and
Just
everything, or
everything.
just
When that
period?
aha moment was like, you know what, I can really do this. It's time for me to lock in. What
Mm.
was that moment that you realized that you needed to lock in, and this could be a lucrative career and business for you?
So, and I'm gonna say that I spoke yesterday at a middle school, at Mount Vernon Middle School in Raleigh, and it's a place where at-risk youth, they send them when they've gotten in trouble, or like an alternative school. And in that talk, I even told them that my revelation, or my presentation was titled "Make a Decision," and I was telling the kids that right now you can make a decision to go left or you can go right. And middle school is, I got kicked out of one middle school and sent to another. And for some reason, at that young age, it clicked in me. I'm like, man, I'm looking around, I'm seeing my family, I'm seeing what this gets people going down this road. And I've had plenty of people, plenty of cousins, uncles, aunts get kicked out of school, mess up. My brother had babies at 16. He was a father. And so I'm like, if I keep going down this path, I'm seeing that it's not getting my family anywhere. And I got to make a decision to do better. And did it change immediately? No, but in high school, things improved. Honor roll student, AP classes, honors classes, all the above, play sports, but for the most part, just try to be a good kid. And I knew that I had to do that if I wanted to get out. And what was going to get me out was just making sure I was locked in and doing what I was supposed to do. And so I would say all the way back to middle school, I realized that this lifestyle leads down a road that will not have an impact on my family moving forward. And so I was one of the first to go to college, one of the first entrepreneurs in my family, one of the first marriages in my family. And since then, my mom has went back to school. My dad went back. My sister at 26, 27 years old, making more money than I ever thought about at her age. Marketing director of a startup company. All my little cousins have graduated, and I'm seeing the ripple effect. And when they have a question or they need something, or they like, one of my little cousin called me one time about investing, and she was 18 years old. And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how it works, but I know I want to do it. And I figured you would know what to do. And so to be that for my family, that's why I locked in. And when I looked at my college graduation pictures, to know that they hadn't been to many of them college graduations, it set me on a path to make sure I was making the right decisions, so they can walk in that same path and then make their own. And so that's been happening, and so I'm just blessed to be a light. And even when I go back with my wife, there's no marriages in my immediate family, so they're seeing a married couple walking God, doing the right things, and trying to help people throughout the world. So hopefully that catches on, and that's what made me lock in at way back when, in middle school. And so I've been on this path since then.
Hey, it's not how you start, but it's always how you finish.
You know what's
And
crazy? The presentation
go
I
ahead.
did, I'm sorry. I literally start with the first slide. It's not how you start, and ended it with is how you finish. Because that middle school I got kicked out of, they asked me
Yeah.
to come back and speak years later.
Wow.
So I put that on the last slide. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to say
Oh,
that
no,
though.
no, no, no. You're fine. Hey, this is about you and how the Spirit of God and how He has His hand on your life and how He's positioning you to be a servant for other people for His glory. Through all that, it is bringing you success. It's been a grind for you, man, and I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that you would just open up to share that. Being in entrepreneurship, going for your dreams, it's not an easy thing to go for your dreams because you have to believe in those dreams first. You have to convince yourself and believe in you so that other people can believe in you. It's a grind. So I know how that grind is. I'm out here building my own things. I got, here late night talks with Pastor Chris. This overhead covering company is Redale Media Group. And we got a book publishing side because me and my sister we dropped a book, a political thriller actually back last year. Staged, by the way, check it out on Amazon and wherever you get your books.
All right.
Staged, shameless plug. That's $TAGED. Staged, and it's available wherever you get your books, but you can get it on Amazon or wherever. But yeah, and I got to manage these projects with Bright and Clear. As they say, I'm out here trying to do the Lord's work, man. Trying, but you're on the road. You got to go to Minnesota. Then the next minute you're going to Canada, Mexico, Hawaii, Paris. I'm throwing this out here. We are manifesting.
Well, my wife,
we are manifesting all this out here, and I want to be one of those people to say that I was with this brother early on in the game. I was with this brother ground level. So, on that note, if you ever need anything from me to solidify that you are the real deal, that reference, I always got you.
Man, I appreciate that because again, y'all, that chance y'all gave me. And I'm gonna say this: it was not just like y'all just gave me a chance and everything was like peaches and cream. Y'all pushed me like, hey, we want to see something different, or we want to change this, or your uncle was like, I don't know, what I'm saying? He giving that side eye,
He did,
what I'm saying? But
he did.
He ended up coming around, was like, man, now that I see everything, but it was tough, but that helped me with future clients, and that's the stuff that you can't run from challenges, and going into that, I was again a little unsure, a little like, all right, this is a big project, but the way y'all approached it, and you was like, hey, we about business, and listen, we taking a chance, because like you said, everybody, was like, everybody can't see it, and so until it's done, and so y'all walked through the process, and it made me a better business person after working with y'all. So I really appreciate that chance, and it's not even because I'm on the podcast. Like that was a turning point in my career as a business person. So man, I appreciate it.
I'm still, as they say, and I got to keep it 100. I'm a black man. I'm black first, and I want to see people who look like us win too. And I want them to know. I want us to know that we can do other things besides dribble a ball or catch a football. We are more than just athletics and whatever the other stereotypes are. I love one thing I love about you is how you stay grounded and humble no matter what. Because a lot of times as we accelerate and God moves us into these various positions, we can sometimes forget where we come from. So I did not doubt that when I reached out to you that you wouldn't get back with me. I never doubted because I just knew like, hey, we get busy. That's why I said whenever you're ready and you can do it, let's do it. But one thing that sticks out also, this is something that I'm working on right now. Right now, I'm going through a restructure, my own with my own ventures outside of Bright and Clear. So I got an S corp and Redale Media Group, and I'm trying to entity plan things into LLCs. So you know what I mean. So every one of my ventures. Well, let me back up. My S corp. I'm gonna be real careful how I'm gonna use the language here. My S corp is my name. Under my name are my LLCs, Redale Media Group, Late Night Talks with Pastor Chris, and some other things I got cooking. So you know how that goes. So being a co-owner of a media agency, for the creatives out there listening, for those dream chasers, God has given them a vision. Right now, those people who have talents but they don't have a business sense yet. From your experience, you've been in this now over a decade. What's the first step to becoming an architect of their own company, in your opinion?
You gotta have a why. So the business stuff, all of that, you can Google that, YouTube it, whatever you want to do. It's so information is so accessible. But the first step is having a why, and a why that's not rooted in something that can come and go. So if it's rooted in money, again, like we said earlier, and I told the students yesterday is go back to that again, because I asked them this, like, what's their why? And a lot of them said money. And I said, okay, so what if tomorrow and this could very well happen, they say all money in the US is useless. Like, we're not even using them more. You got to trade and barter. And, now you done spent your whole life trying to get money. And that thing that you worked so hard for is now worthless. And so, having that why of why do I want to do this is going to make sure that when days you don't want to do it, and when days when it gets hard, when challenges come your way, when you lose everything, and when a client is not satisfied, or the money ain't coming in as fast as you think it should, that why keeps you going. And so me having a why of I want to be a difference maker for my family has kept me on this track, grounded, keep it moving, when days get. Now listen, I quit all the time. I just don't tell nobody. But I come back the next day. But that why keeps me. I want to impact people. And that's why we started my think tank series, where we teach entrepreneurs branding and marketing concepts. And we're on number 9 as of the end of the month, where we're going to be teaching people how to create content from scratch. And we've been doing this for 2 years now, and we've seen a tremendous shift in everybody who's a part of the community. And that's the why. Like, I want, when people interact with the brand, with me, with my wife, with anybody a part of Bujoy, that they don't leave the same way. Because what happens is, if money is your goal, you're going to make decisions based off money. You're going to put the effort in based on how much money coming in. You're going to be happy if you're making a lot. You're going to be depressed if you're not. And so if you don't have that why, then you have nothing that's going to ground you. And if you don't know where your source is, and who is giving you your strength, that's also the first step as well. Knowing where your strength comes from, and why you're doing it. And so I would say start with those two. Is when you're about to jump into something, ask yourself that probably daily, because it is not easy. Entrepreneurship is tough. One of the toughest things you probably gonna do, because people think it's freedom. You actually work more, but it's rewarding because it's yours, and it's something that you are building, in a legacy that you are building on your own. But not having that why and not knowing that source, it's gonna be a long ride for you if you don't have those two things. So beyond that, if you want something practical, that first step, get your LLC or your S corp, or go down, register with the Secretary of State. And I would say get your brand goals, your messaging, your positioning, all of that together, because a name, a logo, all of that is nice. But I've seen so many people have a pretty logo and ain't got nothing behind it. And so, make sure you know what you're offering, who you're offering it to, and how do you offer it to them. If not, then you're going to kind of be all over the place. But those two things, from a practical sense and a motivational sense, that you need when you get started.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That is some sound wisdom and advice. You have to know your why, and when you get your why, the other stuff will come to you. It's just that simple. But if you're going down this path, just know that it's not for the faint of heart. But again, it is rewarding, because it is you who are putting in all the work. I liken it to this. As an entrepreneur, you have to be your brand person. You have to be your administrator. You have to be your set administrator, brand person. You have to be your salesman or saleswoman. You have to wear so many hats until you can get to a point where you can bring others in, so that you don't burn out, which can be so real. Burnout is a real thing. So I want to say this as an entrepreneur, to you as an entrepreneur, to others who may be watching: take care of your body, or your body will take care of you, especially in working for yourself. Stress is a real thing. So when we do these things, just know you're making a radical but bold choice to shift the spiritual paradigm in your family's life. What you're doing is echoing across your spiritual timeline. What you're doing right now in the present moment is being echoed down to the future, to your children, your children's children. So understand that these are decisions that are affecting a lot of people, good or bad, but it's all a learning experience. Now to be an entrepreneur is a bold decision. And one thing that I like about how you approach especially color scheme and branding, you research colors. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this man he researches colors. I will never forget when he came to us with the proposal and how he researched the colors and how this, affects, this viewpoint, how people see this and how they hold this. I never really even thought about it from that deeply. And I always like the boldness of the direction you go in as it relates to colors in your art direction. Do you find yourself pulling from those like bold, like golden eras of like the 80s and 90s, or is that just something that's like, that's just who you are?
Yeah. So again, man, it's a thing of listening more than you speak when it comes to brand strategy. And when I'm hearing the motivations of the people I work with, it's like, okay, what do we need to do to connect with the people they're trying to serve? And so a long time ago, I got into this. Now, I'm gonna say that I always tell my wife that if I won't doing this, I'll probably be doing something with psychology or because I love how minds work. And so I approach branding even back then from an inside out thing. And so I'm like, man, the colors that you choose, it's a reason why, most fast food places you see red, white, yellow. When you're thinking about cleaning services, you see blue, green, white, because that's fresh, that's clean, that's nature, because water is blue, plants are green, white is clean. And so all this stuff has meaning. Yellow is more inviting, more fun. Black is more serious, more eloquent, more it's a psychology to all of it. And I hate to say it, it's ruined how I look at things because you start to see how big companies are using all these tools to kind of manipulate people and market. And I joke with my wife, she is the marketer's dream. If you put a color in front of her with some nice words, she like, ooh, so I use her for a lot of my stuff. I'm like, how you like this? And she
Right.
yeah. I'm like, all right, I got a winner. But people like me, I'm looking at everything. So you ain't about to fool me too easily. And so it's a psychology to all of it. And people don't realize that. And I tell them that you got to understand, you are probably not your target market. And so if you're picking colors and fonts that you like, you better make sure that you are serving you in your business. So, but if you make a brand, for women or for men, and say it's for men, say you selling power tools, and you go to using script font and fancy font, it's misaligned. Like you got to go. Men want bold. They want, work around the edges, rugged brands, vintage colors. Women want, again, they like script and fancy and thin and light and airy fonts. All this matters because if you go with what you like, but you're not your target market, you're going to be speaking to the wrong person. And when I say speaking, your brand, your logo speaks to so many people before they even talk to you. And so that's why back then I broke it down even to the colors because I'm like, bright and clear I think y'all had yellow and black before was the logo. Yep. And so I'm like, man, that don't say clean. They don't say, we coming in and we, rejuvenating your space. We're gonna paint. We're gonna, we gonna make you look good from the inside out. That's what Bright and Clear does. And they make people feel better after they're finished working. And so black and yellow, I'm like that. I don't get that from what you guys said y'all represented. And when I went on the job with y'all.
I do.
Yeah, went
Just
to a
like
painting
it was
site.
yesterday.
Yeah, and so that a lot of marketers wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I go sit at my clients' places. I look at who's coming in, who's purchasing, what's the demographic of the person that comes in the most. All of that. So I went on that ride with y'all to see what y'all did. I'm like, okay, these are the colors that's going to represent in the style because even the man that's on the logo, I made him kind of ambiguous because you had black customers, white customers. And so I wanted somebody who could appeal to all the above. And so, yeah, that's kind of the psychology behind all that. But most marketers aren't doing. They're just like, hey, we'll take your money, do this thing, here you go, and see you later. So yeah.
Y'all don't realize what this brother just did. He just gave y'all a whole bunch of marketing and branding game for free 99. Free. He gave you a consultation for free and gave you game for nothing.
Wow.
For free. So if you're an entrepreneur or if you are a brand and if you're struggling and you didn't get any gems out of anything that he said, I want you to go back and rewatch it after this live broadcast. Then I want you to go back and rewatch it again and really lock into what this brother was saying, because he gave you free game just to help you. Man, that's awesome, man, because people are not as transparent about, how this thing goes anymore. And I bear witness. Yes, he came on jobs with us to film for us. He put together a commercial which we still have in the vault. He did that, a professional commercial, professional photos. He did all of that, and now look at this brother. Now he's taking over North Carolina. He's taking over the whole triangle. He's going to be modest, but I'm going to put him over to the moon because he is that good. He is that good. All right, we're going to transition here because we're losing and running out of time. Here's what I want to do. I call this part of the segment to go to just to kind of peep around the curtain. I call this part of the segment the draft board. So I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions and you answer them the best that you can. This is going to be rapid fire, but we call this the draft board segment here. All right.
All right.
You ready? All right, we're going to go ahead and get this draft board segment going. Okay. So you ain't got to overthink. Just whatever comes to your mind. What's your favorite font? Favorite font?
Poppins.
Poppins. Okay, I'm familiar with that. If you don't know what that is, look it up. What's your best North Carolina meal? Now, be careful. There's a lot of people watching. What's your best North Carolina meal or restaurant?
North Carolina meal. It's this place, and it's in Graham, North Carolina. I think it's Steve's Marketplace, where they sell like brisket and it's kind of like any barbecue joint, but they it's in Graham. I can't think of it. It's Steve's or Mike's. I can't remember, but a little small place on the side of the road. Amazing.
Okay, okay. Let me ask you this, Steve's. Okay, so how do you like your barbecue? Eastern style or Western?
I don't even know which one is more less vinegar based.
Western.
So more Western. I don't like the vinegary stuff, but yeah.
Oh man, no vinegar. I must be alone. I love vinegar based. That's what I like. Now I like the Western style, but I'm more vinegar based. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But anyway, okay, we'll take that. So what's one tool a creator shouldn't live without?
A tool a creator shouldn't live without. A creator, I would say something to record with. So I'm using right now an Osmo Pocket 3. But you got to have some kind of camera to document because in these days you got to build a community and a culture. And so you want to invite people to know what you're doing. So have something to where you can record and document everything that you're doing. So you can just tell your journey and tell your story. So yeah.
Love it.
Oh, and a microphone. Yeah.
And a microphone.
So
okay.
audio is good.
So that's two things.
Yes.
A good camera and a good mic so the audio is good. Love it. All right. Okay. So another one. What is your favorite Bible verse that keeps you going?
I'm gonna get beat up for this.
No, you're not.
Is it 1 Peter 4:5?
I got your back, brother. What is your favorite Bible verse that keeps you going?
You made time. I know it's 4 and 5. Man, that 1 Peter 4:5.
I know it's 1 Peter. I couldn't tell you which one it is though.
Yeah, I think
I'll tell you right
4,
now.
5 through 6.
Yeah.
I say that scripture. You think I would know the actual scripture because I say it all the time. But yeah, humble thyself before the Lord, and He will exalt you in due time.
Let me say this. Hey, if it ain't right, just let us know in the chat. Pastor can get it wrong sometimes. Believe we get it wrong. I know it's 1 Peter, but just correct us if we're wrong. All right? Don't laugh. Hey, uplift. Help us out on this tonight. You know what I mean?
My brain ain't.
Hey, yes, rap. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And for final wisdom and thoughts, just to you, and then I'm gonna let you have the last words. Man, before we close, there's somebody out there watching, Darius, right now. There's somebody out there watching that feels stuck in the position, in the frame of their current life. They have a dream to create and to be a creative, to be a creator, but they're scared of the risk because there's a lot of risk to being a creator. So as a man of faith and a man of media, last word goes to you. What's your word for them as we close tonight?
Again, man, I'm gonna say have your why do you want to do it. And once you get that, but even before that, keep God in everything that you do. Because again, it gets tough. But I would say this, that you're in an interesting time in our world, especially with AI and people creating things that can create things so quickly that art sometimes is getting lost. But it's going to be a resurgence because people are craving for real. And so don't let that discourage you. Always be a student. Never stop learning. I don't care how often you do something. Even now, if I go to a photo shoot after doing it for 15 years, I'm researching before I go into that photo shoot to this day, because you can always brush up on something. Um, I know is probably two of the most damaging words when you're trying to grow. Um, when somebody's trying to tell you something, even if you know it or not, saying I know in language, I learned this, can be like a rejection. And so I know shuts off people's willingness to give you knowledge. And so even if you don't know, sit and listen more than you speak, take it in, because you might hear one nugget that you didn't get before. And so don't be quick to say, I know. Listen and take in what somebody's telling you. Because God probably sent them to give you a message. And so and never, outgrow God's purpose in your life. And so you're gonna have success. You're gonna it's gonna be hard and you're gonna figure it out one day. But once you figure it out, don't forget God in that. Because he has a purpose for you in every level that you go. And so that purpose might look differently, but you can't outgrow God's purpose for your life. And so don't lose God once you gain success. And so, but stay grounded, always be a student, keep God first, and know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, the world will tell you. And so every time something come along, you're gonna go with the wind. So know who you are so you can stand firm. So yeah.
Awesome wisdom and sound advice. And I like what you said. Don't lose God when you find success. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Man, brother, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this conversation this evening here on Late Night Talks with Pastor Chris, man. We got to do this again. And I hope we don't wait another decade to do it. So we got to get together and connect soon. Because I'm working on some stuff. And,
Okay.
When I do what we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, I'm gonna need your eyes because I got a big plan. When we get to our 1 year anniversary next year, I got big plans. Big plans for the 1 year anniversary, and I want you to be a part of it. So we'll figure all that out on the back end. All right.
All right. Well, let me know. I got it.
Hey, no doubt, man. Appreciate you, Darius. We'll talk to you soon again.